Hello and welcome to another Wednesday Weekly, a part of the Lakehead International Live series. My name is Jordan Ball. I am the International New and Social Media Officer here at Lakehead University. I work with international enrollment to help oversee our online programming, our social media, our live events and webinars. And I'm really excited today to be joined by quite a few special guests from the undergraduate and graduate admissions teams, as well as a few folks from international enrollment to answer your questions. Before we get started, I would love to chat a bit about the Lakehead International Live series. So some of our previous lives as of last week included the Monday meetup where we saw tuition fees and payments. We had our International Accounts Officer, Chris Gallinger, join us, chatting about the fee structure, payment deadlines, how to make payments, popular options, all that sort of stuff. To note, the previous webinars that you do see on this list right now and previous to all these since the beginning of April are live on our YouTube channel already. So if you visit Lakehead University and go to the International Lives playlist, you will see all of these recordings. We were also joined on Tuesday and Thursday by current students Ashvi and Katya, and we chatted about their student experience here at Lakehead, dove into academics, living on campus, res life, all sorts of things. So it really gave good insight to our future students as to the Lakehead experience. Of course, we did our Wednesday weekly admissions update with the same folks and a few other guests the previous week. And we were joined by the Dean of Social Sciences and Humanities on Friday. Her name is Betsy Birmingham, and she discussed the entire faculty and some of the program highlights, unique learning opportunities, offerings. It was a really great discussion. I certainly encourage, if you're looking into that faculty or even potentially a minor within that faculty, we dove into that as well. Yesterday, we were joined by Michelle, who is a current student on the Thunder Bay campus, and we did that on Instagram Live, and that recording is also on our Instagram account through the IGTV. So today we are about to dive into the Wednesday Weekly, but just to note, some of our upcoming lives include another Instagram Live tomorrow with Esther, an applied life science student who is actually making a transition into our nursing program this upcoming fall. Speaking of the nursing program, we're going to dive into the Faculty Friday nursing program with a faculty and staff member. And on Monday, we'll be meeting up with Student Success Center and chatting with both folks from Thunder Bay and Orillia to chat about how we are going to be supporting students in their academic pursuits. So moving on, things to remember throughout today's webinar. If you do need to connect directly or with our admissions teams, their emails are listed on the screen. Of course, I would love to draw your attention to the fact that there are separate emails depending on what level of study you are pursuing. So undergraduate is intl.admission@lakeheadu.ca and graduate is gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. If you do have questions today and you're joining us on Zoom, you can use the Zoom Q&A function to submit those questions. We'll be answering those live. If you are watching this on Facebook, you can always comment on the live video feed there, and our Lakehead experts behind the scenes will certainly get back to you with an answer. And last but not least, once again, if this is a recording and it's on our YouTube channel, you can always comment on that video and we will receive that notification and get back to you. So before I dive into it, I'm going to flip over to the Q&As and see if we have any. We certainly have a couple already. Great to see active users already on here. I'll dive into the first question from Nanda Kumar. The question is, when will we get the fee structure in our mail, or separately should we ask that of graduate studies? Being the fact that we just recently covered the tuition fees and payments with Chris Gallinger, our International Accounts Officer, last Monday, I do know that our fee structure has been listed for the upcoming academic year, so that is fall 2020. That is currently live on our website. If you visit lakeheadu.ca/tuition, you will be able to actually calculate your own tuition fees based on your current status, the program you're pursuing, the level of study, and when you'll be joining us. So these are all pertinent facts and factors that play into what fees you will pay. And that calculator is something that you can do already. So you do not need to wait for any emails from us saying this is what your fees will be. You can already start planning that out and figuring exactly what your fee structure will be for the upcoming academic year. So the next question is, next year is my first year studying at Georgian College. I would like to ask about the source of reference that could help me easier to start my first year. So I'm assuming that you will be pursuing the Lakehead Georgian partnership, or one of our partnership programs. So we do have 4 programs with Georgian College in Barrie, and then as well as our Lakehead University Orillia campus. So that question I would actually ask, maybe if you could send us a direct message or even email us at welcome@lakeheadu and ask us those sorts of questions. We'd be happy to get back to you. Right now, I think it's, to be frank, it's a bit vague, so I can't speak to maybe what you're looking for right now.
Hi, Jordan. Maybe I can just comment.
For sure.
There is a staff member named Sarah Budd who works with the Georgian Lakehead programs. So Hudson, yes, if you don't mind just sending us a message, or even in the chat, if you can send me a message, Natalie, for undergraduate admissions with your email address, what I can do is send you an email and connect you directly with Sarah. I don't have her email off the top of my head, but if you do connect with me either by sending me an email or sending me a chat here, I would be happy to connect you with Sarah, and she can work with you. So yeah, I see you've sent me an email message, so I will send you an email.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Natalie.
Great, and I'll just jump in as well. So just Hudson, just so you're aware, Lakehead University and the Lakehead Georgian Partnership, they have a dedicated website, lakeheadgeorgian.ca, and if you visit that website, there is a link on the main webpage that links to a COVID-19 resource page. I'm assuming that you probably may have some questions about what the fall might look like and what options may be available. Typically on those websites and on that website, that is where updates will be posted. So we don't have any official announcements yet regarding Lakehead Georgian and the fall and what the plan is, but I do know that they're busy behind the scenes working on resolving that and getting you information soon. But that would be my best advice, is to make sure you're visiting the official Lakehead Georgian webpage. That is where you'll find the latest updates, and they do have right off the main page there a COVID-19 resource page. So I would anticipate any updates or changes, announcements, things of that nature would be made on that page. So just make sure if you're coming direct to the Lakehead website, a lot of the information there will be very specific to Lakehead only programs. But if you visit the Lakehead Georgian page, we will be updating the information there for those students taking part in those programs.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that that ad on with Natalie and Robert. The next question I have is with regards to the upcoming fall intake, so fall 2020. The question is, did Masters in Computer Science project move online for fall intake? And then there's the second question that has the same idea behind it, but it also refers to winter intake. So I'll pass both of those off to Robert Perrier to answer.
Great, thanks so much, Jordan. So this is the million-dollar question these days, is what's happening this fall? So I'm pleased to say that we did have an announcement last Friday. So the university has released a statement providing information and clarity for the fall 2020 semester. In essence, the university is planning to offer primarily online education for the upcoming fall, both online and alternative modes of education. There may be limited opportunities for in-class study. There may be opportunities for limited in-person lab work, things of that nature that may be available. Every decision and everything that will govern that will be based on advice and guidance from the public health authorities. As you can appreciate, the #1 priority for us as a university is the health and safety of our students, our faculty, and our staff. And so depending on what the state of the pandemic will be come this fall, we will have a clearer picture of what can be available in person versus what can be available online. But for the purposes of your planning, the university has announced that we will be primarily available online. Now, what does that mean for you? if you are a student who is planning to start their studies this fall, that means that you can start to prepare and anticipate that you will be able to commence your programs online. And so the university is working through a process for all of our courses and classes, making sure that there will be an opportunity for you to complete those courses at a distance. Now, online learning is a very special kind of experience. Lakehead University has a long history, and we are experts in delivering courses and programs online. So you can feel confident that you will be able to successfully start your program online. Your classes will be available online, so you'll be able to take them from the comfort and safety of your own home. And there'll be more details to come in the coming weeks. We know that there will probably be a lot of questions that will relate to this announcement, but at least now we have a clear signal from the institution that we are planning for a fall online start. And so more details are to come. We are preparing right now behind the scenes to release a series of FAQ updates. So we've been gathering a lot of the key questions that many of you have been asking over the last few weeks. If we're online, what about this? What about that? Well, we have been pulling those questions together, working on responses to be able to provide clarity for all of you as it relates to this. But the key important thing is this fall, you will be able to start your program. And that is what's really important. The other big announcement that came out last week, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into it now because I think it's really important to be reminded of this, is the Government of Canada released an updated statement regarding the postgraduate work permit. So we know that for many of you who are planning to study at Lakehead, not only are you planning to earn a Lakehead degree and to have all of the wonderful experiences that come with that, but you probably have a long-term goal that involves trying to receive a postgraduate work permit that would allow you to start your career in Canada after you graduate. Now, typically, postgraduate work permits do have restrictions regarding online or distance learning. And what the Government of Canada has done has recognized sort of this unprecedented time that we're in, and that for many of you who are abroad internationally, it may not be possible for you to come to campus this fall to start your program. As a result, the government has officially announced that if you commence your studies this fall online, it will not penalize you in terms of your eligibility to be considered for a postgraduate work permit. Now, the rules governing postgraduate work permits are you cannot complete more than 50% of a program online or at a distance. So if you're just starting out, like many of you are this fall, you're nowhere near that, so you don't have to worry about that. So you'll definitely be able to start online. But the other important piece is that if you complete, let's say, a semester online this fall, that will not hurt the length of time that you receive in that postgraduate work permit. So normally, if you finish, let's say, a 4-year undergraduate degree at the university, you would be considered for a 3-year postgraduate work permit. And now that you're going to be studying online this fall, the government has promised and has said publicly that that will not be reduced because you commenced your studies online. So these are really positive statements from the government, recognizing that these things are out of your control, and therefore you're not going to be hurt by this. So we take this as a university to be very promising and should be a clear sign to you that starting online this fall is a very positive step. You will be able to successfully do that both academically and at the same time continue to ensure that you remain eligible for consideration for that full postgraduate work permit. So we see this as a very positive thing. And so I hope that that will relieve some of the stress and sort of anxiety that has been out there. In terms of some of the more specifics and other questions that are coming up, we will be having more answers in the coming weeks, obviously as we work through this period of time. There's a lot of programs and a lot of courses that need to be moved online, but we have a team of experts behind the scenes working with our faculty, preparing all the technology, everything that's necessary so that you have a successful online experience this fall. So again, at this time, we are planning for a primarily online delivery of our courses and programs for this fall, and we'll hopefully have more details in the coming days and weeks ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Robert. So the next question actually will be for both undergraduate and graduate. We'll start with Natalie. Do you offer unconditional offer letters, or are they only conditional offer letters? So maybe you could explain the difference between the two for the undergraduate side, and how we process those offers.
Great. Thank you, Jordan, and thanks so much for your questions. So for undergraduate admissions, we do offer conditional letters of acceptance for applicants who are in progress. So if you are currently a high school student and you are finishing up high school and you provide us with in progress or predicted grades, then you will receive a conditional letter of acceptance. That letter will be conditional upon completion of high school with meeting our minimum admission average requirement, as well as passing the program specific prerequisite requirements. So once you have graduated from high school and you have supplied us with your final official transcripts, then we will revise that letter to be an unconditional offer. So I'm not sure your exact case. However, if you are following up about a specific offer for yourself, and let's say you do have a conditional letter right now and you are wanting an unconditional letter, currently we are accepting emailed copies directly from the institution as official. So those can be emailed from a school email address to our intl.admission@lakeheadu.ca email address, and we will use those transcripts, consider those official, and issue an unconditional offer.
Awesome, thank you so much. And I'll pass it off to Sue to also touch on that.
So graduate studies is very similar to undergraduate admissions. We do offer conditional letters. However, we do not automatically issue an unconditional letter. So if you have met the conditions and your application is all up to date, you see that a final official transcript, an official proof of degree, your official English has all been uploaded to your application, you would have to send us an email to gstudent@lakeheadu.ca and request that unconditional letter. Some countries I know need it, some countries don't, so we don't just automatically do that because it is a very big process for us. And if we do offer conditional letters, conditional upon the same as what Natalie said. If you don't have your degree finished yet, if you're in progress, if you're waiting for that proof of degree, it's the same. We will also accept official documents at the G Student email address directly from your institution if you're waiting for that at this point in time. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much, Sue. So the next question I have is for Patrick. The question comes from the Sarge. He said that we are expecting to get our CBSE results in August. How can I apply for a student visa on a conditional offer?
Yeah, that's a great question. We know a lot of students are facing, the process of applying for their study permits and student entry visas into Canada. The visa process for Canada is actually done online. So with your conditional offer and a few other documents that you'll need to secure, you can actually start your visa process online at the Canadian government's website. And in a moment, I'll list the study permit website where you can go online and start that process. You can use a conditional offer to start your visa application process. And we would recommend that you do start your visa application process at this time, as it, depending on where you are, there are processing times. And it is a requirement to come to Canada to study once we resume in-person classes down the road. Yeah, so I'll post that link in the chat below, and let us know if you have any other questions.
Thank you so much, Patrick. So the next question I have is going to be for graduate studies and Sue. The question is, there's a bit of detail, so I'll read the full just so that everyone and all the viewers have background. It is, I have an offer for Masters of Science in Computer Science for fall 2020. Due to unforeseen circumstances, I wish to defer my offer to the next intake of fall 2021. They would like to know, do they still need to give the confirmation deposit and the admissions response document by the deadline of May 28th, 2020? Just to be clear, that deadline is specific to that applicant. Offer deadlines may vary within the entire pool. So I'll pass it off to Sue to answer that now.
So right now, I would ask you to email gstudent@lakeheadu.ca with your ID number. They will then send you a deferral form at which point we will file that. And then once the application opens for fall 2021, as you can imagine, that's not open yet, it's quite a ways away, then we will send you a new email with updates and what to do for the next term. So you do not have to worry about the deadlines and the admission response document and the confirmation deposit. You will not have to pay an additional $100 Canadian for the application fee to defer your application, but please do remember that you are only deferring the application at this point. So the first step for you would be to email gstudent@lakeheadu.ca, and then you will be given further instructions and a form to fill out, in which point we will file that, and we will get back to you as soon as things open up for 2021.
Thank you so much, Sue. So the next question I have is for Robert. It is with regards to the fall semester moving primarily online or alternative methods, and questioning if there are any reductions in the fee structure. So I'll pass it off to him to answer that one.
Thanks, Jordan. So this is a question that we've received a few times now. So at this stage of the game, Lakehead University's fees are set, and those fees will remain untouched at this point in terms of the tuition fees. When you start your program online, you will be receiving the full university experience in terms of your classes, your professors. You will be completing all of your classes simply in a different mode. So rather than sitting in a classroom, your classroom will be online and virtual. You'll be able to receive your lectures from your professors, receive all the support, do all of the assignments, exams, whatever your program requires will be able to be completed online. Given that you'll be able to complete all of your classes at a distance, the tuition at this stage of the game will remain unchanged.
Awesome. And while I have you, Robert, I have a few questions regarding students who are interested to know more about fall 2020. So provided that they will be completing their courses online, they would like to know if they complete the fall semester online and then they apply for their student visa and they're rejected, what will happen to their tuition fees that they've already paid for the courses they've completed, or will Lakehead put in any assurances for them?
So to be clear, so number one, you should not be waiting to apply to your visa until it's time to come to Canada. So your visa application should be filed now. If you have not yet applied for your visa and you are planning to start your studies this fall, you should have already applied for your visa. So if you haven't done that yet, Patrick has sent you actually a link in the chat webinar. So if you visit the chat screen, you will find a direct link there on how to go ahead and get started in applying for your visa. So you definitely want to do that now. This is critically important because ideally we would like you to already have your visa by the time the fall starts so that you can start your classes and you will feel confident that once we resume in-person classes, you will be able to come to Canada safely and to do that in person as well. In terms of what happens if you do not ultimately receive a visa, again, there is not a lot that the university can do in terms of influencing your visa. The visa process is between the student and the government of Canada. So the university's role is simply to consider you for admission and extend you an offer of admission if we find you admissible to our programs. But in terms of whether or not you can receive that visa, that is ultimately between you and the government of Canada. So I definitely think that students need to carefully consider as they start this fall to know what state they're in, what status they have in terms of what happens. In terms of whether or not some of these specific questions around refunds, tuition, things of that nature, these are questions that are in development right now as part of our FAQ process. So we will be examining those issues carefully. At this stage of the game, if you cannot come to Canada, the university's general rule of thumb has been that if you cannot come to Canada, let's say you paid your full year of tuition, but you cannot come to Canada in the winter semester because you did not receive a visa, our traditional practice has been that we would be able to issue a refund for that portion of the study that you did not complete or were unable to complete. That would not mean a full refund, because if you took your classes in the fall, that means you would have credit for those classes, you would have a transcript. So those would be as part of your official academic record. But again, we would look at each situation individually and work with you as a student to find the best solution. Generally speaking, we find that students applying to Lakehead who have received an offer of admission have a very high success rate in terms of their visas. Lakehead has a good, strong reputation with the government of Canada. I think, though, that every person needs to understand their own personal circumstances that may impact their visa eligibility. There's lots of information online through the Government of Canada website that helps you sort of self-assess whether or not you feel that you are more at risk versus not at risk in terms of receiving a visa to come to Canada. So again, I would encourage everyone to assess their individual circumstance to best decide how they wish to proceed with this upcoming fall semester. But again, if you have not yet made an application, started your application for your visa, you should do that now. Do not wait, because we do and are seeing that there is a bit of a delayed time frame in terms of receiving those visas. As you can appreciate, a lot of visa offices have been closed temporarily due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In some countries of the world, the visa offices have started to reopen. So if we look to China as an example, a lot of the VACs, the VACs, have reopened. So students are processing, they're actually receiving visas. So we know that visas are being issued. So we know that's happening. In other parts of the world, for example, like in India would be a perfect example. Most of those VACs are currently closed, but you apply online for your visa to Canada. So again, you can start your application online. That ensures that you're in the line, you're in the queue, and then as soon as those visa application centers reopen, you'll be able to complete your biometrics submission and your medical exams, which are the two big pieces that would normally be outstanding that you need to do in person. So again, assessing your personal circumstances, making sure that you have applied for your visa, those are two very important steps at this stage of the game.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. The next question I have is for Sue in graduate studies. The question is, for a graduate admissions conditional offer, the conditions are, of course, upon proof of submission of official transcripts and proof of degree. How are applicants supposed to mail the original documents, or will photocopies do? So I'll let Sue answer how they are processing official transcripts and proof of degrees.
Thank you, Jordan. We are going to the university once a week to collect our mail, and we are uploading that to our system. So we will not accept a photocopy, unfortunately, at this time. We do need an official copy from the institution, or if you can get a notarized photocopy, then we could accept that, but we do prefer the official copies from the institution. And like Natalie and myself said earlier, you are able to, if you are able to contact your institution and get an electronic transcript sent to us directly to our email address that are listed on the screen, then that is also very appropriate and probably much easier if that is an option for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Sue, and just clarifying the process for that. So we have a really great question, and I find this one very interesting. Will doing online courses help me in my application, help me build my portfolio and my resume in a sense, as they wish to apply for undergraduate business? So I'll pass this one off to Robert to speak to how completing online courses is actually going to be a huge asset for future graduates as, of course, the world goes digital right now.
Thanks so much, Jordan. I really like this question as well, so I appreciate that you sent it my way to be able to answer. You know, we are all facing, the entire world is facing an unprecedented time. We've never been in a moment like this, at least not in most of our lifetimes, where we do anticipate, and what we see is there's going to be a shift in the world. Companies are now seeing that working remotely, digitally, and online is not only feasible, but is also a great cost-saving measure. So a good example of this, Twitter, one of the largest online social media platforms, has announced that even when the pandemic is over, Twitter will no longer have large corporate offices where people gather and go to work. They are going to continue with having workers work from their homes in a distributed model, which is very interesting. You know, the companies are already starting to recognize this and experience this. So what we see is that students who really take advantage of the fall, take advantage of this opportunity to start their studies online, you will be developing an entire skill set of being very adaptive, number one. So you're used to a conventional way of learning, sitting in a classroom, listening to a lecture, doing your assignments, your exams, very conventional, historical way of learning. But by going online and being a pioneer and embracing this opportunity, you will be challenging yourself in terms of new experiences, new ways to learn and experience the classroom, a virtual classroom. But at the same time, you will be developing your skills as well. And if you can imagine, by the time you graduate, you will be able to not only have all these advanced skills in online learning and experience and all of that, but you will also be able to share your skills in adaptability and grit. You know, you'll be able to go to employers and say, look it, I went through this very dramatic time. I hunkered down, I committed, I worked hard, and I succeeded. And that is going to make you a very attractive candidate when it comes to starting off your career. And bringing those skills to the new modern workforce, which we already see evolving in front of our own eyes, it's happening right now. You will be prepared to enter into that new workforce, have the skills, and be ready to contribute and be effective as an employee in this new world. So we really see this as a positive. I'm not going to pretend that it won't be challenging. Absolutely. But sometimes when we face the challenges we have in life and we work through those challenges, we sort of hunker down and do our best and persevere. It's in those moments that we grow the most as people and we develop as the most as people. And so we really feel like this is a great, unique opportunity that you're being presented with. And we hope that you will take advantage of it. And you will start with us online this fall. But it's really important to understand that Lakehead University, our foundational principles are about supporting student success. And even though we will be online, even though it will not be what you expect and it will be different, we will be there to support you every step of the way. And so the university is doubling down on our commitment to you as a student. We do not want to see anyone fail because of this new way of learning. And so we are committing to expanding our resources, being available to you, to help you and assist you. We also are committing to preparing you for this online experience. So this summer, you will see so many opportunities to learn and develop through special online orientations and preparatory opportunities to make sure you're familiar with learning online, developing best practices, all of that. All of the university's resources in terms of our study centers, tutoring, these kinds of things, we are moving all of those online as well. So even though you may not be physically on our campus, you are on our virtual campus. And so accessing those incredible resources that we have always been known for at Lakehead, the kinds of supports that people have come to know, they will still be available for you to make sure that you will be successful. So we will embark on this together, if you imagine. This is a joint venture for both of us. But again, going back to your original question, I think that, I used to work in employment counseling and working with students as they were starting their careers. And these are the kinds of skills that companies are looking for. They're looking for innovative people who have grit, who have the ability to face a challenge, tackle that challenge, and succeed through it as well. We recognize that some of you may wonder if waiting a semester or even a whole year might make sense, and we respect that that's a very individual decision. But I would really encourage you that if you can start this fall and you're able to do so, do it. I think that the pluses, the challenges may be there, but the benefits that will come from that and your ability to be able to sell yourself and promote yourself and all these incredible things you've done as a result are going to help you in the long run. So I strongly, strongly encourage that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Robert. And pardon me, building off of what you said about some of these virtual and online experiences that we're going to see coming up this summer to aid our incoming students, it ties in really nicely to another question we have regarding activities and campus life coming up this fall 2020. So a student that is envisioning on doing an exchange at Lakehead University and hoping to come to Canada and come to campus would like to know if we'll be doing on-campus events. To be frank, it is simply too early to say what our activity status will be on campus, but what I can speak to is the fact that conversations have already been happening and will continue to happen about online programming, virtual receptions, and so much more that sees our students connecting virtually this fall, of course, abiding by the public health authorities' advice to social distance and prevent the spread of COVID-19. So if you do have any questions, we do have a dedicated study abroad advisor as a part of our international team, and I certainly encourage you to connect with her. Her name is Laura Puttis. I will have my colleague Patrick maybe put Laura's email in the chat so that you can connect with her directly with your exchange questions. But just to reiterate, I know your main question was what will be going on campus this fall 2020. And it's simply too early to say exactly what we will be doing in person on campus for activities, but I can certainly assure you that we will be active and connecting with students and making sure that we're still supporting them, like Robert had mentioned. So the next question I have is an immigration question, and I'll pass this one off to Robert. It's with regards to applying for a student visa and whether they should pay their full first-year tuition fees right now. So I'm assuming that they are a part of the direct stream study. So I'll pass it off to Robert for that.
Thanks, Jordan. So in terms of paying your tuition fees, there are a couple of different visa programs that exist right now. One of them is called the Study Direct Stream, which is a program offered for 5 or 6 key countries now in the world. So it is limited. It's not available to every country in terms of applying for a visa. And it does have additional requirements in terms of having to pay an entire first year's fee as part of your submission. You know, we always encourage students to review what is required for a visa application and to ensure that they have completed all of the necessary steps. So while I can't speak specifically about which visa you're applying for or which program you're hoping to take advantage of, the key thing is to make sure that you are very careful in reviewing all of the required steps and documents. Doing more than what is in the requirements for a visa application does not necessarily advantage you. So just to be clear, I've certainly asked this question of visa officers around the world when talking to them about this. They are looking to make sure that you have met the requirements that are outlined in that. So if you wish to be considered for a study direct stream visa and you're from a country that offers that particular program, then yes, you are required to pay your first year tuition and have a receipt for that. And we can certainly support that once you've paid that first year tuition. So again, the key thing here is making sure that you carefully review all of the required documents and pieces that you need to do and submit to make sure that your visa application is complete when they go to assess you, just like you would for admissions, right? We're going to have certain things that are required as part of the admissions process to the university, and the Canadian government has a similar list of requirements based on your visa. So I would review based on the visa you're applying for and ensure that you complete those steps.
Awesome, and just to add on to that also, we did recently have a Monday meetup with our international accounts officer, who is a dedicated staff member, a part of the Lakehead University team for all international students and applicants. And we met up with him last Monday to chat about making those payments, how to make them, some common processes, all that sort of stuff. So I certainly encourage you to visit our YouTube channel. If you visit the Lakehead International Lives playlist, you can see all of our previous webinars recordings, and you can learn more about making those payments and what that process looks like. The next question I have is going to be for Patrick, who is one of our international recruitment officers. It is with regards to graduate funding opportunities and whether or not the university provides loans to study at the graduate level.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Jordan. So the university has a great webpage, which I'll link in the chat box after I'm done answering, about how to approach funding from all levels, whether it be undergraduate or graduate. Graduate funding can be a complex scenario, and I would encourage all of our graduate applicants to review the information I'm about to send out, and also reach out directly to the faculty in which they're studying. In terms of loans, unfortunately, loans are not something that the university is in the business of, so to say, but I do know that many governments around the world do have low interest loans and grants in country that international students can apply for prior to leaving. So I would encourage our applicants to also check locally before they embark on their journey to Canada.
Awesome, thank you. And while I have you, Patrick, maybe I'll have you touch on students that might be interested in working part-time and how they can actually assist in paying for their studies while working part-time.
Yeah, so as a part of a study permit in Canada, when you're in country, all students, whether they're undergraduate or graduate, are allowed to work part-time, which is 20 hours a week. That's how the Canadian government defines part-time, while you're studying your program, so during the school year. During our vacation periods, so for undergraduate students, this is the summer holidays, our winter vacation break, our fall and winter reading weeks, you're actually allowed to work full-time. And this working can be on or off campus. And I know at both of our campuses in Thunder Bay and Orillia, there's lots of opportunities for students to find part-time jobs. There are a lot of employers that are very, very eager to hire students from all over the world because they bring not only a great availability to work, but also a diverse perspective into their workplace. And I think that's really appreciated and welcomed here in our communities. At Lakehead, we do have a Student Success Center as well as our International Student Services team, which I would recommend you touch base with when you get to campus about studying and working, because they can help you do things like teach you where to find jobs on campus and off campus, help you prepare your resume so that you are effective in your job hunt, and prepare you for the interview process, which can be different here in Canada than maybe you're used to. So definitely a great way to help fund your studies, and I would encourage all students who want to have part-time employment while they're studying to connect with us once you get to campus, because it's a great opportunity.
I'd like to just jump in just quickly on this as well. I think it's really important, though. I do want to speak specifically to this question of, can I come to Canada, work part-time, and somehow pay for school through that? And the answer is no. And I just want to be really upfront and frank. We've seen too many cases where students do not have the funds secured in advance of starting their studies. And then they try and work when they're in Canada with the hope that somehow they'll be able to raise enough money while they're in Canada to pay for their school. And it just doesn't work. You should consider that part-time employment and a part-time job should be about providing you with supplementary income. So perhaps that will help with your living expenses, or perhaps it will help with your entertainment costs, things of that nature. But I do not recommend anyone coming to Canada and not having the necessary funds to cover their costs for their tuition and their living. And certainly that's what the government of Canada expects as you enter Canada, that you have those funds at the ready. We encourage, if you are able and have the time and the capacity based on your academic schedule to get a part-time job. It's a wonderful experience and a great opportunity to start to build a Canadian resume. But you should not be coming to Canada planning that you're somehow going to earn all the money that you need to be able to pay for your education. We have seen too many times over the years students who do this, try this, and I have never seen it done successfully. I have to be upfront. Inevitably, we see students coming to us saying that they don't have enough money. They need emergency loans. They need to somehow defer payments, things of this nature. And inevitably, what happens is if you don't have the resources to study in Canada, you will have to go home. And that is the reality. You cannot expect that by coming to Canada, suddenly someone else is going to pay for your education. It just doesn't work that way. And so I would encourage you to make sure that it's very clear that you understand your personal financial situation, that you take advantage of things as Patrick has described, like the loan programs and other opportunities that might be available from your home country, but to really take a good look and make sure you have a financial plan before you come to Canada. Again, though, part-time jobs are a wonderful opportunity and experience once you're in Canada, but make sure that you treat that as supplementary and not as primary income. That's really important, because you have to remember that the whole reason why you're in Canada is to study. Study has to be the top priority, because at the end of the day, if your academics suffer because you're trying to work too much, then you won't be able to stay in the university if you can't maintain your grades, right? So in both respects, you won't be helping yourself out if you don't have a plan. Our financial team, our financial assistance folks are very good at helping you if you're not sure how to make a budget or how to plan for the finances and you need advice on that. Absolutely reach out to the Lakehead experts. We'll be happy to help you with that and to give you advice and support. But definitely, we want to make sure that when you arrive in Canada, you have the finances and resources to cover your education. And that way, then you'll have the greatest chance of success.
Thank you so much for that detailed answer, both Patrick and Robert. The next question I have is for Natalie. The question is, do you require prospective undergraduate business students to provide an essay along with academic transcripts?
Hi, Jordan, and thank you so much for your question. So all our undergraduate applicants are not required to submit resume, references. The only documents required for undergraduate admissions are your academic transcripts, as well as any English proficiency tests if written. So we don't require any additional documents for any of our undergraduate applications.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. So the next question is with regards to ancillary fees. And the question is, will ancillary fees be reduced for the Masters of Computer Science project-based program with online delivery of classes? So I'll pass this one off to Robert to speak to ancillary fees in general also.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. So the answer is that we don't know yet. So we are looking into this right now. We do recognize that there will be a shift in what is available based on online versus in person. And so this is one of those FAQ questions that we're working through with the senior administration of the university, and we hope to have an answer in the coming days or weeks.
Thank you so much. And just to note, be mindful of time. We are about 10 minutes out from wrapping up today's session. So if you do have any questions for us, I encourage you, if you're joining us on Zoom, to use the Q&A function and submit those questions as soon as possible. If you are joining us on Facebook, you can always use the comment sections, and our Lakehead experts that are behind the scenes will be happy to answer you. And last but not least, if you are watching this as a recording on either our Facebook or our YouTube channel, if you do comment your question on the video, we will receive that notification and get back to you as soon as possible. So rest assured that you will get your answers, if not immediately today live. Like Robert has mentioned, like we've always talked about, we are developing a broad FAQ, or frequently asked questions database, so that these common questions that we do receive will be available at any time on our website. So the next question is for graduate studies. It is with regards to the Masters of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And the question is there any chance that there will be a January 2021 intake?
Thanks, Jordan. I feel like I'm interpreting this question a little bit differently. As in, will on-campus classes resume in January? So continuing there from second semester. So second semester start in January. And again, we are not sure of that at this point. And as well, there are discussions with all of the departments being underway right now in regards to what will happen for the January term, if students will be able to defer their current acceptances to January. So that's all underway right now, and we do appreciate your patience with this. As you can understand, this is an ever-evolving process, and we are trying to get the answers as quickly as possible, but it is a process. So we do appreciate your patience with this, but as of now, we are not sure what's happening in the January term as of yet.
Awesome. And this also addresses another question that we have with regards to the fact that we have already announced that our fall 2020 semester will be primarily online, as well as a few alternative delivery methods. And the question is, how long will we be online? And to be frank, the answer is we have not determined that yet, because we are waiting to see the development of progress with vaccines, of course, with this virus, and what it does to in general, how it affects the world. So right now, we do not have an answer of how long we will be online, but rest assured, of course, we will continue to provide updates to our students, our applicants, on our website, as well as using our mailing list. So if you have already applied to Lakehead, either undergraduate or graduate, we all already are communicating with those students. And if you would like to join our mailing list to receive similar updates, you can actually visit our website, lakeheadu.ca/international, and there's a button to sign up to stay connected with us. The next question is with regards to the Canadian Embassy is currently on lockdown and applications are not being accepted in this particular student's country, and they would like to know if they can apply in a different country. So I will pass this one off to Robert.
Thanks, Jordan. So you are required to apply for your visa, from the country from which you're coming from. What's important to know is that the visa is not closed. So the visa is actually applied for online. So you actually place your application online. So anywhere in the world you can apply for a Canadian visa and study permit. The issue comes down to the submission of your biometrics and your health check examination. Those are two big things that are required to be submitted in person. So that really is the critical piece here. So you can still apply online for your visa. In terms of whether or not you can go to another country to complete those steps, you would need to be in contact with the Canadian government directly to ask whether or not that is a possibility. It's not something for us as a university to say whether or not that is possible. It will be largely probably regionally determined. There's probably a lot of travel restrictions between regions, so it wouldn't be a good thing to necessarily travel to another country. It may, require you to be quarantined and a whole other thing. So make sure you plan that out carefully. But definitely you should be talking to the Canadian Embassy directly and the Visa Center, and you can contact them online to get clarity on that option. But they're very good at releasing updates about statuses and how to do things. So again, that would be a direct question to be presented to the Canadian government.
Awesome. The next few questions I will have also for you, Robert. The question comes from Victoria, and it is a hypothetical question. So they are an international graduate student. They will be looking to take courses this fall, which already we've announced that they will be primarily online with alternative methods. But she would like to know if she does decide to live in Canada, is that even possible to live in Canada but still be online with Lakehead University?
Yeah, thanks, Victoria. That's a great question, and it's something that we're actually working through right now. So imagine we are online for our classes. Could students still come to Canada, be in Canada, and complete their courses online, and still have that experience? To be honest, it's not totally clear right now. The only guidance we have from the Canadian government currently is that if a student had been approved for or had received a study permit and visa prior to March the 15th, 2020, so that's going back now a couple of months, if you had already received your visa or been approved for one prior to that, you could still re-enter Canada. So as you know, right now, there are a lot of restrictions around travel and entering the country. Now, if you're in the case where you did not have a visa or had not yet been approved for a visa prior to March 15th, at this moment in time, you would not be able to come to Canada this fall. So we are hoping that in the coming months, there will be greater clarity, perhaps more information about that. We anticipate the Canadian government will update this as time comes, but today that is the current rule of thumb that's out there. In terms of whether or not our residences will continue to accept new people to come in and to live in residences and to have that experience, that is all being worked out, and we can anticipate updates in the coming weeks. So you'll have more information, like I said, in the coming weeks as part of those updates to the FAQs. It is definitely something we're looking at, and we're making sure that we have the best options available for you.
Awesome, thank you so much. And be mindful of time. I'll answer the last question here, and then I'll start with my wrap up. The question is with regards to a January intake for Masters in Computer Science, the project-based program. And I'm going to reiterate something that actually Stu mentioned as a part of graduate studies, is that our graduate studies team is working very diligently with faculty members, deans, staff members to look to these questions and seek out these answers, whether there will be opportunities to offer a January intake to programs that traditionally do not offer a January intake. what I can say right now is those conversations are currently happening, and we are working very closely with those team members to get those answers to you. And rest assured that we will have those updates posted on our website, as well as we would be sending out more information via email. But right now we do not have a decision on the Masters of Computer Science. So please rest assured that we will be working with those teams, as well as other programs as we've mentioned that could potentially be offering a winter intake. We are having those conversations already. So that does come to the end of the question period. I want to thank everyone for joining us, of course, today. Last but not least, I always like to follow up and remind everyone and remind our viewers that we do have quite a few social medias that we are posting regularly on with major announcements, but also just general student life updates. So we are on Facebook, Lakehead University International. On that Facebook page, if you do visit us on there, we already have a group for the incoming class of 2020. As of a few days ago, when I was adding a few more students, I believe we are just over 250 now, so we're growing quite steadily in that group. And I'm sure that we'll see plenty more join. So that is called the incoming class of 2020 for Lakehead University. Great conversations already happening there. Students are meeting potential classmates, future classmates, potential roommates, and making great friendships. And they're also there for peer support. So students that maybe have already completed certain processes or procedures with making payments or submitting documents, they're helping each other with those answers. We're also on Instagram, Lakehead International, and we are doing, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're doing an Instagram live with a current student to chat with them, chat about their student experience, their academic experience, living in Orillia, living in Thunder Bay, all sorts of stuff. So we're really diving into it. And again, it's an open period to ask the student their opinions or their questions. We're also on Twitter, Lakehead INTL, and last but not least, we're on YouTube. Lakehead University, there are 2 international playlists on there, so Lakehead International Lives and Lakehead International. Like I've said before, the Lives playlist is all of our webinars and the recorded versions of them. If you have any questions on those webinars while you're watching them, I do encourage you to comment, and we will receive that notification and get back to you. If you're looking to learn more about Lakehead University, our offerings, hear from our current students, and hear some more testimonials, the international playlist is a great one for you as well. And for those of you joining us in China, we are on Weibo, WeChat, as well as Youku. Last but not least, to cap off today's presentation, I would love to remind everyone, if you are interested in exploring what our campuses look like, so both Thunder Bay and Orillia, getting to know what the facilities are like, seeing the beautiful nature that surrounds both of our campuses, you should take a virtual campus tour, certainly. So visiting lakeheadu.ca/tours, it's really, really easy. There's no appointments necessary. You can do it at your own pace and at your own convenience. So there's no extra requirements, of course. All you have to do is visit that link, and you can start the tour right when you're ready. Otherwise, I will wrap it up there for today. Thank you again to my co-hosts for joining me and answering plenty of questions and really diving into it. I look forward to hopefully seeing everyone on Instagram Live tomorrow, where we are going to meet Esther, who is an applied life science student right now, and she'll be making that journey into nursing this upcoming fall. Alrighty, cheers for now. Thanks again for joining us.